Whether you like JJ Redick or not is irrelevant. The thing I want to bring to your attention is he is an asset and not a liability. Now, I've talked about assets and liabilities on this channel quite a bit. It's a business term, and basically it just means an asset brings you in money, brings you in things that are positive, while a liability costs you money. Some of you are not having the opportunity you want to play on a basketball team, to play on a college team, because you may be being looked at as a liability, something that's going to cost them resources to make sure you go to class, cost them money that they don't know if they're going to get back, cost them energy, patience, time. You don't want that. You want to make sure you position yourself that someone can see from a country mile away that you are an asset. You're going to bring in positivity. You're going to bring in money. You're going to bring in positive notoriety. So other up-and-coming student athletes see you and be like, oh, I want to be like that person at that university. I want to go there. You want that. You don't want to be a strain on your college coach. And I think if you look at the world that way, you'll make it a lot further versus looking at the world as like, well, I got the goods, I work hard and I'm talented and I'm good at this sport. That's good enough. No, it's not. No, it's not. This is an investment. You've heard it said over and over again that this is a business transaction. You bring something positive to the table that they have a desire for, and they bring something to the table that you have a desire for, right? And you meet in the middle, and there's a transaction. And in order for that transaction to happen, people need to feel like it's a safe bet. I submit to you that JJ Redick is a safe bet. He is an asset. He was an asset coming from high school to college. The Duke picked him up. He was an asset from Duke to the NBA. And then he was an asset as it relates to some of these shows that he got onto afterwards, right? Like some of these previous NBA players, they get on these shows and you just can tell they're not well prepared, right? They're stumbling and bumbling, and they're not well versed on the topics at hand. They just think they can just waltz in there because they're professional, they're ex-professional player, and they just feel, or athlete, and they just feel like they can just, my crap don't stink. Smells like potpourri. It's okay. No. You got to prepare. You got to prepare in order to be an asset, right? And you can tell that JJ was definitely that. He was definitely that in every piece of his career thus far. So he has this opportunity, but it didn't just fall from the sky. It just didn't fall from the sky. They realized he was going to be more of an asset than he was going to be a liability. They realized they can put the keys in his hand to drive this big ship, and he was going to do well because he has a track record of doing that. You have to ask yourself as a student athlete, do you have a track record of being an asset or a liability? Whether that be your friends you hang around with, the grades you make, your work ethic, your reputation, your conduct. Think about it. Are you an asset or a liability? Number 2, network. He has a strong network. Let me tell you a secret about being a student athlete. Let me just tell you a secret about like just being a college student, period. This transcends both verticals. Check this out. I'm not trying to tell you that you shouldn't go to class. I'm not trying to tell you that you shouldn't make good grades. Make good grades. Prepare yourself. Put in the time just like you would in your sport. I'm that guy that tells you need to do that. But please believe me when I say your GPA will not save you out in this real world of getting into your career. Please believe me when I say that your network is more important than your GPA. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying either or. But what I am saying is, okay, you will be able to get an entry-level position at these different companies based off your GPA because you had your resume and they just liked your cover letter. Whoop de whoop. Okay. But as far as positions of any type of leadership role, oh no, you ain't getting that off your GPA, player. Not at all. Not at all. You're going to get that based off who you know, based off networking, based off of knowing the right people. You've got to network. And when I speak with student athletes at different universities, one of the biggest things I harp on is this whole idea of NARPs, non-athletic regular people. Some of you know what it is. You say, I can't hang around those people because they're weird, Bill. I can't hang around with them. They're not athletes like me. They're weird. And what I'm saying is you're leaving resources on the table. You're leaving money on the table, player. You're leaving money on the table. You are being a child by saying that you can't work with others that aren't student athletes. You got to grow up. Because guess what? When you get out in this real world, 99.9% of the people that you're going to be working with are not going to be former student athletes. And you're going to have to work towards a common goal with those individuals. Okay? Some of you may be saying, I'm going to be a coach, man. It's different. Not so much. Some of these athletic directors, they weren't student athletes. Okay? And then even outside of that, people that's working in purchasing, right? So you can have your car, so you can do your traveling and all that. These aren't former student athletes. People that's working in dining, so you can make sure that your student athletes have meals. These people didn't work in doggone. I mean, they weren't student athletes. I can go on and on and on, but just for the sake of the time, I'm going to stop it there. You're still going to need to be able to connect with those people. So networking is important, and not just networking as far as other people that are student athletes or within the umbrella of athletics. I would encourage you to get outside that bubble. Fight hard to get outside that bubble. The conveyor belt of being a student athlete on the college campus to get you from A to B is strong, and I get it. You don't have a lot of time to make this stuff happen. They're just trying to push you through and benefit from your resources, your hard work, your talent. I get that. But you got to make a way. You got to figure it out because networking is important. JJ Redick had a network that would lend to him being in that position. Again, this stuff just didn't fall out the sky, okay? He had a network that was going to help him be exactly where he's at. Because that position wasn't in a position, that's not a position that it was like, let me just look through Google. Let me just Google some people. Who would be a good NBA coach for the LA Lakers? I guarantee that's not what they were doing. I guarantee you they didn't put a job posting up and said, let's see, who wants to be a, no. The Lakers are one of the best teams of all time. They're not doing that. And I'll tell you this. I've had jobs coming out of college. This is how you want to set yourself up. This is when you know you have a network that's worth anything. I've had jobs coming out of college where people called me for the job before it was posted. Let me say that again. I've had jobs coming out of college where people called me, text me, emailed me, and said, look, Bill, this position's I'm about to put this position online. I want you to apply for it. Go ahead and get yourself together right now so we can go ahead and get it across the desk. That's what you want to do. You do not want to try to win the war on my resume, my cover letter. No. Don't get me wrong. Get your stuff in airtight. You want to make sure it's professional. But if you're positioning yourself just to have the best cover letter, especially now in 2024, I'm recording this in 2024, but now until forever, with AI the way it is right now, that'd be the silliest thing you do. I'm just going to win on cover letters. I'm just going to win on my resume. It's going to look so nice. Malarkey, foolishness, I tell you. Number 3. The third thing that JJ did was, now this is a controversial thing, right? And this is not something that I say lightly, and I don't say it to be negative. This is off my observation and working with student athletes for a while now. JJ can be fake. And people say, well, Bill, that's how could that be positive? I think it is very positive to be fake. Based off the definition that I go off of. When I say be fake, you got to know what room you're in when you're in the room. You got to know who you got to know how to navigate in a room. This whole idea that I just got to be my natural self in every room, you're going to cost yourself opportunities. Yeah, you're going to cost yourself opportunities. If you don't have the ability to work with people, to massage relationships, to know how to speak to people, because if you know how to speak to people, you won't be able to say it the way you default saying it. You understand? Like it looks different from person to person, right? JJ Redick as a sports commentator, I noticed that he was definitely more controversial. Very, very much, I'm going to be contrarian about what everybody else think. I'm going to present myself professionally. He's done that in every space, but I'm going to be controversial. I'm going to be non-agreeable. I'm going to go against the grain. I submit to you that he didn't do that when he was an athlete. At least I couldn't see it from my vantage point. JJ Redick is one of the best shooters of all time in college and in the NBA. And when we saw him in the NBA, you didn't see him being non-agreeable. You didn't see him being going against the grain. You didn't see that until he became a commentator. And I think that is with good reason, because he understood the role that he needed to play on a team is much different than the role that he needed to play as far as being a commentator. And what I'm telling you is you have to figure out what that role is for you. You have to understand that just because you have to play a different role on a different team or a different setting, that doesn't make you fake. Right? If you are a person that's naturally an introvert and you don't like speaking up, you don't like talking and this and that. If you go to a job fair, you're going to have to pull something out of you to make sure that you're able to speak to these doggone jokers here so you can connect, so you can get in your career, right? So you can network. Is that being fake, or is that doing what's necessary for you to get the position, for you to get the objective done? And that's what I'm telling you today. Whether you call it fake, whether you plan, whatever you want to call it, JJ did it. And that's something that you can add on to your game, is to be fake, is to be unlike yourself in certain environments that cause you to be that for a desired outcome that you desire. I said desire twice, but you get the idea. All right. Number 4. Here's the thing. There's things that you want to do in life. I don't know. You want to be a dentist? You want to be a physical therapist? You want to be, I don't know what you want to be. But what I've come to find out is you need to stay close to the fire you want to be warmed by. You got to stay close to the fire that you want to be warmed by. That simply means that, sometimes you want to be in a certain position, but you just can't get that position. You want to be around in that area. Okay. They'll say, a broke clock is right twice a day. Even a garbage can gets a steak. That means eventually, if you in the vicinity, you're going to even get closer to that goal. But what you don't want to do is, distance yourself from that desired outcome. I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. If you want to be a physical therapist, and let's say you didn't get into the school that you want to get to, and you got to get your prerequisites and all that stuff. What I would do is I would be a physical therapy assistant until I got the prerequisites and I got to the position I wanted to be. Say, why, Bill? Why would you do that? Because now I'm closer to the fire. I'm being warmed by the fire. Now I get to work with other physical therapists. I get to learn from those physical therapists. I may be able to network with those physical therapists. I could learn from them. I can network with them. And that's going to help me on my journey. It may not be the exact thing I want to do, but it's so close that at least I'm still on my way. Okay? I'm still on my way. Versus if I said, you know what, the heck with it. I'm going to work for the sanitation department. Nothing wrong with the sanitation department, but is that going to be a place that you need to do on your journey? Could you still make it from there? Sure, but it would be more ideal for you to do something around the fire and what you want to be warmed by. Around the fire that you want to be warmed by. Make sure you do that. Positive things happen. Now think about it. There's some fires that are negative. There are some fires that you don't want to be warmed by, but you hang around with it because you're being weak mentally and you're not able to separate yourself. Maybe that's a harsh word for me to call you weak. I don't mean that literally, but hopefully you get my sentiment. What I'm saying is this. Say if you're around some friends in college, and in college you get to pick your friends, so there's no excuse. In high school, we was just like, you get what you get. We ride the bus together. There's only so many places. But in college, you get to pick your friends. So if your friends are doing some foolishness, Let's say they're doing some foolishness. Insert foolishness. Let's say they're, I don't want to. Let's just use your imagination, whatever foolishness is to you, okay? And you're hanging around them. Whatever foolishness they're doing is the fire, okay? Do you want to be warmed by this fire? Meaning, do you want the benefits of being around this fire? Do you want to get as close to that fire as possible? And those benefits look like maybe going to jail, maybe getting kicked out of school, maybe being put on probation. Like those are the things. Do you want to be warned by that? Many of us will say no, but our friend, it's my friend. You know, I'm just kicking it with my friend. No, you gotta be intentional and say, do I want to be warned by this fire? If I do, then I want to get as close as possible, even if I don't get that actual world. But if I don't, then I want to get as far away as possible, because that same fire has the potential to burn down everything I got going on. So that's something you got to be mindful of. And that's something that he benefited from. He was close to the fire that he wanted to be warmed by. I mean, he started a podcast with LeBron. If that's not close to the fire, I don't know what is. Right? So that's one thing. And my last thing is this. Number 5. Now, that's a big one. That's a big one. I'm glad you stayed tuned to this. I'm probably going to shoot this video a few times because I think this is important. And that is, you got to be ready when luck happens. You got to keep your sails open. Imagine yourself being stranded out in the sea. And there's some other people stranded, right? There's some people stranded off in the distance you can see with your binoculars. You're like, oh man, they stranded too. And you see they get picked up and they get to the rescue, but the people that picked them up didn't pick you up. You out there, you're like, man, this is crazy, man. What's going on? So you're out there stranded. It's day 1, day 2. There's no communication. You can't call anybody. You don't have any smoke flares you can send up. You're just out here baking. All right, baking in the heat. What's the productive thing you can do right now? What's the productive thing you can do? You run out of food. You run out of water. What you gonna do? Some people, they start blaming folks around them. They start saying, well, they picked them up. They ain't picked me up. It's because they don't like bald-headed people. It's because they don't like people with giraffes on their chest. They go on and on and on. Not productive, but makes them feel good. Some people, they just find a hole and bury their head and say, woe is me. Some people, they just give up. But what would be the most productive thing you could do? I would say the most productive thing you could do is open your sails. A boat, right? You won't be able to do this on a Bassmaster boat with a troller motor, but with a sailboat, you can open your sails. Why? Because in the event that a gust of wind come, you're already ready. You're ready to get on out of there. Because that wind is going to carry you where you need to go. And that wind is what? We can call that wind luck. But it's going to carry you where you need to go. And I'm telling you, this is something that you need to have as a student athlete. And you want to set yourself up for luck to happen. And when you open up those sails, you're setting yourself up for a wind to come help you. And when you're a student athlete, the last thing you want to do is feel entitled, like someone has to do anything for you. Now, people ain't got to do nothing for you, okay? And I think that's dangerous for you to have that mentality in the first place, because there's some people that's not going to like you because you're a student athlete. And that's fine. That's life. Some people are not going to like you because you're a student, even professors, because they were bullied by student athletes. There's some professors that's going to love you. That's going to love you. It's going to make it easy for you. But then there's going to be some professors that make it difficult for you. So what? I just look at it like a road game. People ain't cheering for me on a road game. They're booing me. Same thing. Okay? So understand that you want to set yourself up for when luck happens. You want to make sure that you open up your sails. You want to make sure that you've already done your part. So in the event that the tide changes, you're ready for it. You're ready for it. JJ Redick had already done his part beforehand. He had already educated himself in the ways that he needed to educate himself as far as this position is concerned. He stayed close to the fire that he wanted to be warmed by. He networked effectively, right? He knows the game. There were things that he did that were fundamentally different. He's not a liability. He's more of an asset. There were things that he did that fundamentally helped him when luck happened.